there! Thanks for listening to the Infinite Podcast, where we want to challenge the people of God to see the realities of their context and reflect on and reformulate concepts such as mission, missionary, mission field, holistic mission, and more. Greetings from the International Fellowship for Mission as Transformation, also known as INFIMIT. We're glad you're with us. I'm Nina Mantalaba, Content and Communication Specialist at INFIMIT. This interview is part of a blog series that looks to explore the intersection between art, creativity, and theology. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from Daniela Amestegui about her art. Today, specifically, we'll be taking a closer look at her piece titled Advent from her larger collection called Pallay, Andean Weaving of Liturgy and Design. If you want to hear more about this larger collection of hers, be sure to check out the Infinite YouTube channel and see her video from our Stott Bediaco forum. Daniela, thank you for joining us here today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So to start, Daniela, could you tell me a bit about your life and work?
Sure. I'm a graphic designer, born and raised in Bolivia, and I decided to come to Canada to study at Regent College to do a master's program in theology because I had questions and things. I was like, I needed more study, and I even felt like this call from God to go deeper in just knowing about him, about the world, and about my vocation. So I came to Regent College. I now have my degree in theology, and I'm currently just still on the search to find ways to connect my art with my faith and my context.
So cool. Could you also tell us a little bit about your journey as an artist specifically? Like, when did you start creating and how did you get interested in your medium?
Sure. I sometimes cringe when people call me an artist because I never considered myself one. I always hesitated on the title because graphic designer. I am a graphic designer, but sometimes an artist can be a bit different because graphic design is more. It has to be somewhat dependent on a client, dependent on other things, whereas an artist has a bit more of freedom, and it can be a bit more subjective and all of that. So yes, I'm a graphic designer, and I think my journey as an artist is not, it might have come a bit later than my graphic design skills, I suppose. Part of my degree at Regent College was to create a final project, an artistic project, and this is why I started to think of ways that I can finally create something for myself, something that would have to come really from within me. And that's how I started basically to do finally more like an artistic project.
Cool. Kind of going off of that, could you tell me a bit about your background and what communities and contexts are important to your story?
Sure. So I'm from Cochabamba, Bolivia, and I think that just in general, I feel very much Bolivian, Latina, raised in like a big family where, like all the family values are so important. Like just being connected with not only with your family but with church are like so important, right? So I think that's part of my culture, like a very deep connection to other people, to my family, and all of that. What else? Like the general Bolivian culture is very much ingrained in me, and I think I discovered that even more when I moved abroad. And that's when you start noticing, like, oh wait, like not everyone thinks like this, not everyone acts like this. I am definitely not from Canada, so I discovered how Bolivian I am while being here. So yeah, and I think um, well, Bolivian culture is very much influenced by Andean culture. So I also feel kind of connected to that culture.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sure, I mean, I personally, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will agree that, yeah, sometimes it takes an uprooting of sorts to really, I guess, realize differences. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, when you're submersed in a culture and you're from that culture, you've been raised in that culture, you don't notice it.
yes.
It's really when you're out that you get to see it, and in my case, appreciate it a bit more.
Yes. I think too, it's super interesting with the increase of globalization in the world, and there's people going back and forth.
Yes,
Creating becomes a way of expressing identity, and yeah, kind of exploring those pieces of
definitely.
identity when you move, or even as generations, yeah, of generations of multi and mixed ethnicities, nationalities, and races. I think it's so cool to see how art is being created in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I think with globalization that everyone becomes part of everything, but at the same time, and I think in some ways that's good, but then you start wanting to really connect and to one particular thing, because like if you're in everything or yeah, it's like everything's generalized, so you start to look for the particular and the local things and the things that are really really yours and not all just mainstream and so on. So yeah, art can really help in that.
Definitely, especially I think that first generation of the people really feeling caught in between, where parents grew up and where either you moved or your parents moved to, and feeling almost in that third culture mix.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. I
Yes.
very much feel like that.
Mhm. So, when it comes to your graphic design, but also specifically to this collection, can you let us know who or what inspired you, and if you have any mentors or other artists that inspired you?
Yes, definitely. um so I think I have two influences. First of all, one coming from Regent and the education that I got there, I feel like it opened up my eyes to many different things, and one of them being liturgy, and specifically the liturgical calendar. And that was something new that helped me to kind of refresh my spiritual life, like observing the calendar, knowing and learning about each season of the year, but understanding that also connects to each season in your life. And that was so enriching. Like that was like very much what I felt I needed to to kind of refresh my spirituality and find God in the different seasons of my life, right? Not this very kind of monotonous year or monotonous life where everything's it's like okay, or yeah, we just have to be happy all the time. Um, just knowing that life is filled with rhythms and that the calendar can actually help you navigate through those rhythms. That was like for me um, so inspiring that like made me think of other ways to yeah to approach this, um, and yeah to like how do I express that? How do I put this knowledge of the calendar into some sort of artistic expression or representation? And so that's one side, and then like that was my biggest influence, like the calendar, liturgy, and all of that. And then the second thing that inspired um, my this this project was um, how to do that in a way that connects with my culture. And I thought of all the weavings and the textile art in Bolivia that is beautiful and just wonderful to see and to. It's a very also deep, ingrained art form that shows a lot of identity of different tribes in Bolivia. So it's just a really beautiful representation. Um, and in that, so like textile art was kind of like my inspiration visually. And then in that, I found this amazing graphic designer. Her name is Vanessa, and she's from Ecuador. And she really, like, I found her. I actually followed her a long time ago. I knew she was a graphic designer, that she was doing amazing things, because she was good at finding unique uh, patterns in like different cultures in Latin America, and that like the way that she would do that with graphic design was just unbelievable. So I knew her from before, and for this project I decided to like, I'm just gonna reach out and see if maybe she wants to help me. And then she did. She actually thought that what I was doing was interesting, and she said, "Yeah, I can help you. I can mentor you." So she helped me to kind of come up with this module system that helps, yeah, to create patterns and to create like very like modular forms that you're gonna see in all my art. And she was just like an amazing help. She was so, first of all, she really caught my vision. She really like went for it, and she helped me through, because sometimes I was stuck and I was very much like, I don't know if I can do this, but she was like, no, you got this, you can do it. And she helped me so much through the process. So yeah, I think I wouldn't have done it without her. And her work is also still my one of my biggest inspirations in the graphic design world.
Wow, thank God for good mentors and
Oh
people who
yeah.
walk alongside us along these
Yeah.
projects.
And the amazing thing is that she's not a Christian, but she really like understood the project, and said, "Wow, this is the first time that I can even think of this in the religious terms." Because she grew up in a Catholic family, but she said, "I didn't know that I could connect my culture to my faith. I actually didn't think that was possible." But I'm really glad that you're doing it and that you're building bridges there. So I was happy that she, even not having the context of our faith, that she understood the project, and she actually thought that it was a good connection to make. So yeah, it was really encouraging to have her. Yeah.
So today specifically, we're discussing this piece called Advent. Could you tell us the story behind this specific one and just walk us through the process?
Adviento, or Advent, is the first season of the liturgical calendar. So I decided to make it my first piece. So it was the first thing that I was working on, and it was so hard. It was because, at least for me, like the first part is always the hardest, when you're just like wanting to start, when you have so many ideas, but you need to narrow them down, when you need to really sit down and just make it work instead of just like being in the world of ideas. So it was the first project, the first piece that I really had to, yeah, just make it happen, make it tangible, because I had like so many ideas. So it took me a long time to do this. I didn't even know where to start. First of all, I think the thinking behind it was, okay, Advent. What do I know about Advent? So in North America, Advent is the season before Christmas, and it's winter and it's cold, and it's usually like the days are shorter, so there's a lot of darkness. So that all of that is tied to the idea of Advent being this time of waiting, waiting for the light, waiting for Jesus, this time of where we reflect on the passages uh, of Mary being pregnant, or the prophecies about Jesus, and this just hope that is coming but is not here yet, right? So I was thinking of that, but I wanted to kind of move that to Bolivia and think, okay, but what does it mean to observe Advent in Bolivia and South America when it's almost spring, summer. So there were things that didn't really connect with the Bolivian context. So I was thinking, okay, how is it? How can we do it? Because I think it's so important to really observe Advent, because um, without this proper anticipation of Christmas, Christmas just comes and goes so quickly, and we don't get to um, appreciate the birth of Jesus, or we don't get to anticipate it the way we should. So I really think I was thinking I need to find a way that Advent can connect in a Bolivian context, and also in a South American or even South Hemisphere context. So I started to think of what's happening in Bolivia, and also I looked into the Andean calendar and try to find connections. And to my surprise, just to my surprise, I realized and I found out that from September to December is the planting season. It's the time where um, all the farmers are actually paying tribute to Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is very, very important in Andean culture. And this time of planting is when they pay tribute. They honor Mother Earth because they want life to come after, right? They're hoping that all the seeds put down are actually gonna transform into fruits, right, and into plants and into just the whole thing. So I thought of that, and how it really connected with this time of Mary um, with Jesus in the womb, right? Like this time of waiting, and that how like the female person is so important, and how like Pachamama is kind of like the female god in the Andean culture, right? So I started connecting all of those things, and um, yes, that kind of made this come to be. Like I thought of like Mother Earth connecting with Virgin Mary, and then the seeds connecting with Jesus. I don't know if you can see it now, but yeah, so there it is. Like it's a mountain, but it's also Mary, and then Jesus is inside, um, and all the seeds are also surrounding him. Um, and it's just this life wanting to come about, right? It's this time of waiting, and it's also the fertile season, and there's in some places in South America, I think in Ecuador mainly, they have this festivity. Let me check. It's cool. It's called Kuya Raimi, and is the feminine festivity of the year. So I thought that was cool too, because I think it connects with this season pretty well. And let me look for a passage that also influenced this piece really, really well. Yeah, it's Isaiah 11:1. And it says, "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, from his roots a branch will bear fruit." So that this is also a passage that is reflected on Advent season, and I think it really connects with the whole more like land and plant and seed and branch coming. So yes, this is for me the way that Advent connects with what's happening in the southern hemisphere.
Thank you so much for sharing. I remember hearing about your work specifically during the Stop Videaco forum and thinking, you're so right. Advent and how I've personally thought about the liturgical calendar, I had never even realized in my mind had aligned so much to northern seasons.
Yeah.
Um, I was even so used to seeing nativity scenes with like snow. Um, and I remember I was able to spend some time in the Philippines, and it was getting close to Christmas time. And I thought, what an interesting juxtaposition where it is hot and um, nowhere close to what I personally would feel is like Christmas time. And wondering, yeah, how do people around the world um, relate to, yeah, I guess like the northern idea of what Advent or Christmas could look like. So I'm just super appreciative of this different view.
Yeah, and it's funny that we we just kind of adopted like so many traditions. I remember we even saying Blanca Navidad, which is white Christmas, and it does like we do not have snow at all. So why are we singing about all these things? So when we have things of the universal church, which I think are great, like the calendar, we just need to stop and think, okay, but how does this make sense in our context? And this is what I was trying to do. And even when the liturgical calendar started, it was also doing this. Like a lot of the reasons why they decided to do on December 24th and 25th, and like it had a lot to do with what was happening in the land, what was happening with the cultures, with pagan, sometimes pagan cultures influenced a lot. So sometimes we're afraid of like, okay, are we mixing things? But actually it was mixed to begin with. So if the liturgical calendar was mixed with pagan culture of that time in the northern hemisphere, in a way that gives us some room to kind of do that with our context too. So anyway,
Definitely. And iconography has always been a part of the church. Um,
yeah.
Speaking of your mentor's Catholic roots, like there's always been an aesthetic piece to Christianity throughout history. So it's super cool
Exactly.
to see your take on it today.
Yeah, and one more thing that maybe a few people will know or will notice this reference of the mountain and Mary. I'm not the first one connecting this. Like there are actually a lot of paintings from post-colonialism in Bolivia and I'm sure around South America where native people represented Mary as the mountain because that was for them the connection, like Pachamama. When they were taught about the Virgin Mary, they thought, okay, then like she's Pachamama. So I'm not the first one connecting this, and you'll probably find a lot of paintings that represent Mary as a mountain.
I I love that. I mean, I think a lot of times we tie ideas of theology specifically to just words, but
Mhm.
also forget the importance of images. And when we
Mhm.
think about, yeah, how even colonization has changed words, but also um, images that we see. Um,
Mhm.
Super interesting and definitely cool to see contextualized theology, not only through words, but through art. So thank you for sharing with us.
My pleasure.
Is there any element of this painting that you want to highlight for listeners other than the mountain? For me, what sticks out too is almost like the symmetry of it. Is that something that you see often in the weaving that you spoke about earlier?
Mhm. Yeah, there are many elements from textile art and a lot of the weavings that I was looking into. I kind of, yeah, I wanted to be obvious that I was using those graphic elements in my art. Um, but also you can see the influence, but it's not quite exactly the same. So yes, I just wanted to use like the patterns, the symmetry, the balance, and the use of colors. A lot of the textile art, specifically in some tribes, because every tribe has a different style, and I love that because I think it says a lot of each tribe's identity. So many tribes use like very like bright colors, and they like that. They like the combining different colors and making it very, very, very bright. And others used more like earthly colors. So I also kind of wanted to use the same different, like the same palettes that they were using. I think one piece that maybe it's harder to notice is that I incorporated in the patterns or in the forms other, like there are like women at the bottom, just like I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. It's like women holding hands. Because I thought this is a season. If I was thinking of the fertile season and the festivity of femininity, um, I was thinking it's a time where women, where we can think of women being together. Yes, so holding hands, supporting each other, and even thinking of like giving birth in so many cultures is not about just the woman, right? It's the community around her that are guiding her, that are helping her, and it's not a very alone moment. It's actually you have women around you um, that have gone through the same thing, helping you out. So yeah, or yeah. So I really liked having that idea of women being together in this time. And also, I added farmers working the land because I think it's a time. I think I connected that with a time to work on yourself or work on like yeah, um, or reflection work of um, digging in yourself to wait for Christmas or to wait for Jesus. And so I kind of connected that with farmers working the land. So those are little details that um, I thought of. Of course, other people can have other interpretations, and I'm very open to any interpretation. But that was my thinking behind those little um, pieces or little symbols that you have there.
I love that so much. It reminds me of, yeah, being in waiting and even thinking of the story, how Elizabeth was there for Mary. And also, yeah, a lot of contemplation. What does it mean to be in wait?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And as you said, with art, people can look at it and experience different things, see different things. How would you hope people respond to this piece?
Yeah. I think um, I know some people will find it a bit different or even disturbing because we don't, like you said, we sometimes disconnect from the visual part or images in the church. We're a bit afraid of them. And here I am putting Mary in a mountain. And sometimes, so I know some people will have some reaction to it. I mean, I hope everyone has like response, and some people might not have like at first a good response, or maybe it makes them feel a bit uncomfortable, but I want that to move them to think of Advent in a different way, not just whatever we've been told or whatever we see um, the Western churches doing. I want them to, especially in Bolivia, to think, okay, but so wow, does it mean what does it mean about the earth? What does it mean about the time of planting? And how do we connect that to Jesus? And how do we connect that to this waiting period? So I guess I want them to reflect more. Like, I hope that this is the first step for people to start thinking more about this season in a deeper way. And also to appreciate the different forms that we can do it and not be scared. Or at first it's okay if we have a reaction, but later I want people to start thinking outside the box and to not be afraid of finding God and Jesus story in any part or any culture in the world, because I think it is.
Amen. Love that. And for someone who wants to begin to learn how to create out of their home context, what would you suggest to them to how to start learning?
Yeah, that was a good exercise for me because I realized that even in my education, I went to school in Bolivia and all of that, and I don't think I've learned enough about my culture, about history, about like yeah, our history before colonization and all of that. I think we emphasize so much when the Spanish people came, right? And we don't think of what about before? Well, what was happening before? And I would encourage people to go back, really go back and see all the treasures, to not be afraid, because I think in the church we've been told that that's pagan and that like we shouldn't go there, but I think we're missing out on so many beautiful things. And I decided to do it, and I found out, like, for instance, the tradition of weaving in Bolivia, and specifically through women. Women are weavers, and again, like the I guess like the women holding hands is also paying an homage to them. Like they're the one weaving. This tradition is so old, and it's been actually we're losing that because we there aren't women learning this new way or this tradition anymore. We're losing that, and I hope that we find a way to not let that happen, right? So by learning and by finding out, okay, what singularities my tradition, my culture has and not other cultures have, or what did I not learn at school and I can dig in for myself. So, because I had to dig in for myself, and I learned so many different things that I didn't know, even growing up in Bolivia. So just yeah, first learn, connect, and if like even better, like connect with more people that are more familiarized with this context or with this culture. I think that was one of the things that I wish I had a bit more time to do. I would have loved to go and spend more time in like a tribe with women weaving. I would have loved to have a bit more of that experience. I didn't because I was here already. But in the future, I hope I have more time, and I have yeah the I I hope I get to see or to talk to more people who are um, in this culture, or who are practicing weaving, or who are farmers, all of that, right? I think that would be even better. So I would encourage people to do that, yeah, to connect, and to learn constantly about ourselves. I think we always um, look up to other things from other parts of the world, and say, oh, that's so cool, and we don't realize that we have so many cool things within our little town, our little even yeah neighborhood. Really, like we really need to appreciate where we are in the moment.
Yes, we love opportunities to learn and to create with and from communities, communities that raised us. So
Mhm.
super encouraging to hear.
Yeah, and also I think the other thing would be to collaborate with more artists, and to learn more about even different techniques and stuff, because that's always enriching. Like I was able to do graphic design, this like form of illustration, but I was looking into textile art. So even though it's like completely different medium, like there's always like it was an inspiration, and it was a way to do something new. So not reducing yourself or your knowledge to your medium, but just going all out.
I think a lot of times we approach theology, I guess specifically too in the West, with particularly like a mental mindset, a book
Mhm.
mindset, a very academic mindset. And so it was super cool for me to see you present theology through art, What recommendations would you give to someone who wants to connect more to God through artwork, or really start thinking about liturgy through artwork?
I think art is one of the best ways to connect your faith and your life, your own vocation, and your context. At least that's what I found out, that because you can put it all in there. Because sometimes, like with, I don't know, in the academic world, if you're writing a paper, you have all the ideas and like you write it down, but it's like it's lacking. I don't know. It becomes, it just stays in the world of academia or in the world of ideas. But then putting into art, for me, just it's giving it hands and feet. It's like a tangible way to do theology. And one of the papers and one of the things that I did also in my program was finding ways that art helped contextualize Christianity around the world. And it was so fascinating to see how different cultures in Asia, in Africa, in South America, like so many different cultures represented Jesus in their own way. And that was so beautiful, because that's when you realize, oh, wait, Jesus is not white. Jesus can can connect with everyone and anywhere, and art really helps to open that mindset that maybe books can do that too, but for instance, like I feel like art can connect more with more people, and in a way that maybe books have like a bit more limiting um, spectrum, I think. So yeah, for me, art was a way to put it to roots, or to show it like this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to make Jesus part of my story in Bolivia, part of my culture in Bolivia, and with art you can do that. You're weaving again the idea of connecting different things, and art lets you do that, right? So I think it's a great way, and in different mediums. I'm not saying just like visual art, but with music you can have like influence from so many different cultures to create a psalm, or to a hymn. I don't know, so many different things. I think that art is a great weaver, if you can say that.
I love that. I love that so much. It's fantastic to hear from you on this specific piece. How could someone learn more about you and your work?
So the whole collection of Pallay, you can see all the seasons of the calendar in Regent's website, but specifically in the Schindel Gallery website. I'm gonna link it there too for you, and so you'll be able to see all the pieces. And in December, God willing, it will also be I will also have a show in the gallery, in-person show. So if you are in Vancouver, Canada, you're also very welcome to go to the gallery and see in person the show.
Thank you so much, Daniela, for inviting us into a new way of visualizing this season of anticipation, of encouraging us to contextualize our art and find a new way to do liturgy creatively.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the space to share a bit of myself, about my art, and I'm really happy that more people get to know my art, but more so that more people get to do art and yeah, think of um, our cultures and our faith in so many different ways. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the platform you prefer. If you think this could be helpful for someone you know, please share it with them. The best compliment we can receive is a referral to someone else. See you next time!